What is the condition of present job market, and going forward what it is going to pan out ultimately? That is the moot point, MOOT, moot point. Every boy and girl at the age of 12-13 to 20-22 are bound to think about this, because whatever they decide on their job, they are going to finally decide their career on. Now this job market at this present is going to dwindle, dwindle, which means it will slowly go down. There will be no job, there will be no employment. Employment is going to become almost zero. Going forward, you will not find any government job. Going forward, there will be no corporate job also. Cutting down the labors has become a permanent feature today. So who will survive under this condition? I am talking about a time maybe 5, 6, even 10 years later. Look, there are certain number of people who are not so well educated and ready in communication. For instance, they do not know how to convincingly, cogently and coherently speak English. That is the reason why, even though they have some set of skill and intelligence, they are not employable. That is the point. And obviously people coming from lower rung in the society will be forced to take up two jobs. Only these two jobs will be available to people. One is the delivery boy, two is the security man. They are readily available, but there is a caveat. People under the dire condition and the hazardous condition of such gig jobs are not going to continue it more than 10-15 years, because either their health condition will break down, or company will look for fresher bloods whom they can squeeze more and get more juice out of it. So as soon as you step into middle age, they will find some way to flush you out. So under such condition, you are not going to survive anymore. Given this condition, there is a second position or set of people. Who are they? Artisans. Who are artisans? Imagine people coming out of ITI. Alright, they have got grinder, fitter, this kind of trades. This is called kind of supervisorial trading job, trade job. They are usually used in manufacturing sector. Now in India, manufacturing and tech both are going hand in hand. Frankly speaking, in the entire world, China is the manufacturing giant. All it does is manufacturing. Its entire business and economy is based on manufacturing. In manufacturing, tremendous labor force is necessary, but today they have been able to cut down labor force and automate it, as a result of which there will be no labor necessary, say even except a few people making policies and making supervisions. China is that. On the contrary, if you look at US, it is tech based. These are two big economies. China's economy is dependent on manufacturing, US on tech. India is somewhere in the middle. India does not have tech dominance nor have manufacturing dominance, but India is trying to work towards that. As a result, this artisan kind of people will be still necessary in the manufacturing sector. As a result, they will continue to get a few jobs given their experiences and sincerity, although it will not be in abundance. Naturally, you can understand this kind of people are going to be second paid employees. So the lowest paid employee, security man, delivery boy. Second, somehow they can manage their home domestic expenses with the help of their low paid job. These people are not highly paid. They can somehow manage. Now, real question is, what will happen to the people belonging to middle class? Those who are sending their kids to the convent, those who are sending their kids to the English medium schools, spending their insane amount of money after BTech and BE offered by many institutions. I am not here speaking about IIT, NIT, because these are the premium. Out of 10,000 people, one will be able to get this. So I am talking about very common kind of people like you and I. What shall we do? we shall obviously look for some kind of college who will come up with lot of promises, and we will get our son or daughter admitted into that engineering college or architectural college, etc. Now the point is, after getting out of that, will the fellow, I mean the engineer, going to get a job? My point is, in future, engineers will have no job. Why? Let me come down to the third aspect of this. It is the moat in the profession. Only professionals will survive. Those who independently take up some kind of expertise and offer it which common people cannot help themselves with. For instance, the doctor. Can you find out the medicine and administer it on yourself? No. Can you fight the case in the court? Do you know the nitty-gritties of law? No. So, one, you are dependent on a doctor because doctor knows the right thing, advocate knows the right approach, they will never go. Chartered accountant has the right kind of accountancy being done, you cannot do it yourself. Point is, these three professions will survive, not just because they have long incubation period or experience necessary, also because they enjoy statutory support. What is statutory support? Do you know you cannot write down a prescription because you do not have the registration? You will be arrested. You are a criminal in that case if you are writing down a prescription. Actually, a doctor can write down a prescription because he is enrolled with MCI, Medical Council of India, and his registration is there. He could be any kind of doctor, MBBS, MD, MS, etc. In the similar manner, you cannot plead a case in the court of law because you are not a registered advocate. An advocate undergoes studies for 5 years and then another 5-10 years for understanding the whole thing on the practical field. Then only he is accepted in the court. You can understand? So you do not have that exposure. They enjoy the statutory moat, which means they have the legal support. Anyone cannot just walk into their profession and take it away. But engineers are unsafe because companies are looking for piecemeal of contractual services. In future, they are not going to take up the burden of an employee taking out his PPF, taking out his all kinds of deduction, looking after his HRA, means house rent allowance, where he will live and rent his house, then his medical situation. Companies are automating everything. Already tech is introducing so much of advances. You can see many people are losing their jobs in the tech industry, in the ITES industry. Just have a look, you will realize actually job opportunity in engineering is going down and ultimately it will come to near zero, because another reason they do not enjoy the statutory moat. Anyone can say I know C++, for instance, I have no idea about that, excuse me for that, and I can deliver you this kind of job. If he says so, company will say I'll pay you this much amount of money. If both the parties agree and you can deliver properly, company will test you and give you the money. You will do the job only for that portion. Again, the company may ask you to do some more. If you have the demand, then more and more companies will come down to you. It is going to be only a piecemeal profession based job. I know only how to edit videos and I am great at editing videos. Many companies will contact me to edit their videos. Many advertising companies will come down to me. Many movie making companies will come down to me. Can you understand? I am trying to just give you an example. In the data learning, in the data knowledge on blockchain, artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, all these things are going to be ultimately professionally outsourced. Now you are an engineer, you have the degree, but the company will say I'm not interested in you, your degree has no value. Company is free to hire anybody who has humanities background or who has commerce background or who has no background at all, who is class 5 pass. The company will say he can do it and I'll have it done by him. Company will simply put the bearings together and make it a big delivery of machine. So Engineers do not enjoy the statutory moat. Their certificate do not have any value. As a result, they will first lose their job. One more thing, as a doctor, you can practice independently. You can have your table, you can have your home, you can have your chamber. You do not have to be employed. If you prefer, I shall not become an employee, I'll practice it myself. You will still survive. In the similar manner, the advocate can survive because the advocate does not have to be employed. He can independently fight the case. An engineer, can he be independently surviving with some consultancy? Even if he can make a graphical presentation of how many of these statutory people can make it as an independent professional, how many of engineers can ultimately make it as an independent professional. If 100%, 100 number of doctor or advocate can independently practice, you will barely find 2 or 3 number of engineers extremely experienced, having been able to provide their consultancy. Most of the engineers are not professionals actually, they are job dependent employees. If the manufacturing sector, tomorrow the tech sector, throw them away out of the job because of automation, because of technological development, they will become plainly jobless. Their life of occupation is going to be very less. Maybe 5 years he will work in a company and then he will be thrown out. Maybe 10 years. A few people will be able to do some more tenures only because they have more learning skills, which means as an engineer you have to continuously upskill yourself. If you cannot upskill yourself, obviously you will fall behind and you will not be usable. So you have to constantly learn. How long will you be able to learn? At the age of 40, 45, can you learn? Can you compete with a 20 years old boy who has just come out of having a specific skill in a particular domain? You cannot. So you have to say adieu, which means beyond 20 years, normally, I must say, coming 10 years later, engineers will be redundant, not usable. Where will they go? Their parents spent 30 lakh rupees while engineering in a big institution. Now their parents spent another 30 lakhs in the English medium school during their grooming, like right from LKG to class 12. 60 lakhs gone. What is the result? Even if you put 60 lakhs into the bank, you will get surely some 30,000 per month. That engineer is not even getting a job of 20,000, 25,000. How? What kind of result do you expect? Make the calculation, do the mathematics. So my point is, think of any job that is going to have a moat, which means you cannot quickly enter into this profession. It enjoys support of a council or government. You must have a registration, enrollment, and acceptance into the government agencies. Only then. So nobody can quickly do that. Nobody can walk in and take away or snatch away your job, your profession. So these professions are going to survive. My point is, if doctors, chartered accountants, people having registration and statutory support are going to survive, what kind of clientele are they going to have? By the way, I am speaking about only middle class who are sending their kids into the convent schools or English medium schools, or they are getting their kids educated into the premium institutions. After that, the kid will come out. I am addressing that set of people. They are called middle class, or rather middle class or upper middle class. These people, having been brought up in the security of father's wealth, will not be able to fight their way up in a public vehicle every day, sweating profusely in the crowded bus or crowded suburban train. Such a family where they have already enjoyed the car right from the beginning, they had their own chauffeurs, which means commonly known as drivers. So they cannot suddenly go down to such a level that they will be happy with 30, 40, 50,000 rupees per month. No. In that case, they must address rich clientele. Rich clientele are 1% who have tremendous access to wealth. How can you directly get such clientele? Why should such people belonging to high net worth will put their trust on you? They will judge you first. Now, you are a doctor, he cannot judge you on your domain. You are an advocate, he cannot judge you on your domain. But he will judge how you speak English. If your English communication is very strong, words are very finely chosen, not commonly spoken, then he will understand that the person or the professional sitting in front of me belong to a superior class of education. He must have been educated in a finer college. As a result, I can put trust in him. That differentiates between two kinds of English. One is called common English, which is very commonly spoken. At the moment, I am speaking in common English, frankly, because if I use tough words, vocabs, then it will become too boring and difficult for you. Probably you will leave it. So that is one part which is common English. People can understand it, but it is not a one step higher. Another is called suave English. In suave English, your applications are quite different. You speak new words and you speak in a way which is very perfectly convincing and which is superfluous and which has strong rhetoric, and your entire structure of speech or writing is so nice that the person before you will be able to quickly understand and assess your level. Although you are an advocate, although you are a doctorate, although you are a chartered accountant, but he will be able to understand, yes, the person must have got a very fine education, he has been well educated, I can trust on him. Trust, I can put my trust in him. This confidence is necessary for 1%, because 1% has come down to become 1% only because they have foresight. Their thinking process is very clear. 99% people may be intelligent, may be meritorious, but they do not have the foresight. They do not have the depth. But 1% people, due to these such qualities, can quickly understand the person before him and put trust in him, because after all, he is a very, very successful man. So, suave English, writing properly in English, speaking properly in English, having good creative writing skill or creative speaking skill, extempore speaking skill, is going to play the most vital role for the people who are belonging to middle class or upper middle class today in India. They are going to become very rich going forward. Rest of them will again come down to remain middle class only. I am not going to talk about rest of the people because they are not my subject of discussion today. I hope you have liked it. If you have done so, and if you have come down to see this video so far, obviously you are going to put a thumbs up, subscribe, follow, comment. Of course, you might have contrary views, you can comment it. That will be very much welcome. I will be able to rectify certain things that I may not know, and we will meet again very soon. Don't forget to share. Bye.